Okay, let's preview round 5 of the 2025 NRL season. First month is now in the books. We've had some very interesting results. Some teams are struggling, that are a bit of a surprise. Some teams are doing really well, which is a bit of a surprise. And so far, the league has proven anyone can beat anyone. We've only got one unbeaten side left. We've got two sides seeking their first win. And so it's been a very interesting start to the 2025 season. And the round 5 gets underway with the Raiders at home against the Sharks in Canberra. Both sides played in Vegas. Both sides have exactly the same record so far this season with 2 wins, 2 losses. It's going to be an interesting one. I think this could be quite a tight game. And it's a good litmus test for where both sides are at and the direction both sides are trending in. A lot of people expected the Raiders would be rebuilding this season, and a lot was expected of the Sharks this season. Now, this is round 5 of the season. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. I'm expecting a very close game in the nation's capital, and I do think the weather could have a part to play. As we've seen this weekend, the weather had a part to play with a lot of rain, a lot of heavy rain. It's that time of year in Australia where the weather starts having an impact as we go into Australian winter. Over here in the Northern Hemisphere, the weather's starting to change and get warmer. In Australia, it's starting to get cooler and changeable. So the weather could have an impact. In Canberra, the weather, has the impacts are felt differently than on the coast. Both sides coming off the back of disappointing performances in round 4, so that we expect a response from both sides, and I think this could be a very tight game. The Panthers-Cowboys is an interesting one as well. Panthers and Cowboys have exactly the same record, 1 win, 3 losses. The Panthers have been disappointing to start the season. They win well in Vegas, and then they've fallen a bit flat, and defensively it's been a bit concerning. The Cowboys as well have struggled defensively and leaked a lot of points, so we could have a very high scoring game here. This could be a very, very high scoring game between the Panthers and the Cowboys. Both sides have struggled to start the season, and of course the Panthers were aiming for 5 premierships in a row and 6 grand finals in a row. I think if they continue to struggle, I think that could be out of reach, but again, it's still early. They can turn things around. The Cowboys have got that morale-boosting win in round 4, so they'll be coming in a bit more confident. But both sides have struggled defensively, and the Cowboys, a bit more than the Panthers, are under a lot of pressure. I think Todd Payton's under a lot of pressure as head coach because of the start of the season and the length of time he's been there. Ivan Cleary and the Panthers, at some point, it was expected that they would come back to earth and come back to the rest of the NRL. But the start to this season has been so surprising for the standards and the systems that are in place at the Panthers that it has caught a lot of people off guard. And there needs to be a response. Now, whether he starts tweaking with the forward pack lineup, the back line lineup, making some changes, will be interesting when the players get dropped. Are all the players fully fit? We shall see. But this is going to be a must-win game for both sides to ease the pressure on both clubs. So that one could be high-scoring as well. It could be very high-scoring. Panthers at home, they need to build some momentum. Bearing in mind their home stadium's being rebuilt, they're playing at Combank Stadium. They need to turn that into a bit of a fortress and build some momentum at their temporary home. And the Cowboys, they're the away side. They're travelling down from North Queensland. Does that work in the Panthers' favour as well, the travel schedule? The Rabbitohs Roosters is game 3 of the weekend. Form goes out the window on this one. These two sides don't like each other. These two coaches don't like each other, and it comes down to the rivalry. The ownership groups don't like each other. The Bunnies have had a really good start to the season. Under Wayne Bennett, the Roosters have struggled to start the season and are looking a little bit undermanned, and the squad balance isn't quite right. And as we've seen in previous clashes between these two sides, fireworks can happen and form can go out the window. It doesn't matter where they're running in the league. These two sides do not like each other. Form will go out the window. It's one of the oldest rivalries in Australian Rugby League. This could be a feisty encounter. I would say this, the Rabbitohs have had a better than expected start to the season. The Roosters, I had some concerns about the Roosters going into this season, but they have been below expectations to start the season. They've already had a 50-point defeat in there. So there's a lot of pressure on Trent Robinson and the Roosters. They lost in round 4. They've only had the 1 win. A lot of pressure on them. Could this be the pressure release valve? Could we actually see the Roosters raise their game and respond to the poor start they've had and the criticism they've had? The Bunnies, it's going to be interesting to see how they set up for this game and how they play in this game. considering they've had a very good start to the season. They haven't got everyone fully fit yet. They're still waiting for some players to come back into the side who are injured. It's going to be a really interesting one to see how this plays out. But look for fireworks in this game. Look for sin bins and potential send-offs. This game could explode with the pressure that the Roosters are under, and with the start of the season that the Bunnies have had. This could be a pressure cooker game. This could boil over. The Eels Dragons is going to be an interesting one. It's the Dragons coming off that first win of the season, and the Eels still winless. And you've got the Clint Gutherson kind of storyline where he's former captain of the Eels, goes over to the Dragons. That storyline in the background. The Dragons have been good to start the season. They've been in some close games. Their game management could be better. The Eels, however, have been dreadful. And Jason Riles is under a lot of pressure. And the spotlight on Dylan Brown. They're at home. They need a response. They've lost again. 4 straight losses to start the season. The Dragons, I think, will have too much for the Eels. I think they've got a better squad on paper. That their combinations are starting to work well. They're bedding new players into the side. They're building confidence. They can score points. The Eels, however, defensively are a shambles, and attack is just non-existent. This is getting must-win territory. Otherwise, this season's gone. Honestly, they are in trouble. The Titans-Dolphins is another interesting clash. The Titans have had a very, very solid start to the season. The Dolphins, much like the Eels, still winless, still struggling, still at the bottom. Their season's fast getting away from them. I think Des Hasler and the Titans will have too much for the Dolphins. Their attack is starting to click now. Those new combinations are starting to click now. The team, they look fit. They look a lot fitter than they have done in previous seasons. Des Hasler's had a good off-season with them. It seems they've really kicked on this year so far. Yes, they've had a bye in there as well to start the season, but they're looking good to start this season. And maybe this is the season that the Eels... the Titans, should I say, make the top 8 under Des Hasler and start building some momentum they've tempted us within the past. Let's get some consistency out of the Titans. Dolphins, I have some concerns about the Dolphins. They are really struggling to start this season. More was expected of the Dolphins, and they risk, much like the Eels, getting tailed off at the bottom of the ladder and left far behind, trying to fight out a wooden spoon. The Broncos-Tigers is going to be a very interesting matchup. The Tigers narrowly losing against the Warriors in the final minutes in round 4. The Broncos, I think, have had a response under Michael Maguire. I think the talent is there. It's all about getting that consistency throughout the season. This will be a test for the Broncos. The Tigers are a much improved side under Benji Marshall this year. They are showing a lot of good signs in attack. Their attack is starting to click. Defensively, they are much better than last year. So this is going to be a good test for the Broncos. This could be quite a close game. This would be a good test for the Tigers and Benji Marshall as well, as a young, inexperienced coach finding his way in the game. This could be a fun game. I'm expecting points in this game. This could be a very, very fun game. Both sides have the ability to score a lot of points, and both sides don't give up a lot of points defensively. So this could be a really fun arm wrestle of a struggle. And look for both sides to just try and go wide early, try and be expansive, and try and play with a bit of flair. It could be a really fun matchup as a neutral up at Suncorp. The Sea Eagles and the Storm. Could we have another battle of Brookvale? Because of what's happening with DCE off the field, could that really unite the playing group at the Sea Eagles, or could that start splitting the playing group at the Sea Eagles? And they win well against the Eels, but Tom Trbojevic, how bad is that MCL? Will they have to manage that injury? Will he be out for a lengthy period of time? The Storm coming off the back of a defeat to the Dragons, which was unexpected. There's a lot of narratives going on here. Are the Storm really as good as they a lot of experts say they are? This is going to be a good litmus test for the Storm, coming off a defeat against the Dragons, again away from home for the second week in a row. Sea Eagles at home for the second week in a row, and they've got a very good record at Brookvale. And these are two sides that historically, two clubs that don't like each other. DCE is the only survivor from the Battle of Brookvale, still playing. So there is that, from in the Sea Eagles side. There's a lot of storylines that could go with this. It could get really spicy. The Sea Eagles are looking really good this season to be Premiership contenders, with how other teams that have been around the top 4 or top 6 have been starting the season. there could be fireworks here. This is a good litmus test for both sides to test out their Premiership credentials. I know it's round 5, but it's this. Whoever wins this will put down a statement win. The performance is key at home for the Sea Eagles. Expectant fan base. They sell out every week. The Storm will be going into a cauldron. Brookvale will be a high energy stadium for this matchup. The Bulldogs Knights. Bulldogs only unbeaten side left in the competition. They've had a great start to the season with 4 straight wins. They've kicked on from last year. A lot of people were saying last year was a one-off. They're going to come back to earth. They have proven anything but that. That they are building week on week. Each performance gets better. There were people who were questioning the appointment of Cameron Serraldo when he was appointed because of his inexperience. He's proven that there's no worries there. The team, the players have proven there's no worries with them. They've got a more mobile pack than other teams. They play with a high energy. They play with a high energy defensively as well. And they are exciting to watch. They're building a momentum on the Bulldogs, and it's been a long time since they've been this good and this consistent. The Knights, they're coming off a bye. We'll see if they have a bit of a hangover there, or if having that bye helps them. So it'll be interesting to see, because I look at the bye and how it impacts sides. So the Titans had a bye to start round 1. They lose their first game in round 2. So it's an interesting one. I use that as an example, how the bye impacts teams. Some teams come off a bye and win. Other teams come off a bye and lose. So it'll be interesting to see how the Knights respond, because they went into the bye with a loss. They have the bye. They're going to come out of the bye. Let's see if they win or lose. That'll be interesting. They've had that extra week of preparation. So that's an extra week of players getting fitness back, working on things on the training paddock. Let's see how this plays out. But there's always pressure around the Knights because it's a one-club town. There's always a spotlight on the star players, the coach Adam O'Brien. So it'll be interesting to see how they do away from home at a high-flying Bulldogs side. The Warriors have the bye this week coming. They're going into the bye on the back of a win. They've had a very good start to the season, 3-1. After that defeat in Vegas, they haven't looked back. They've been very, very solid. They've responded. So a lot of people were saying, that 2023 season was a one-off. Last season was a down year. They did struggle last year. They had a lot of injuries. So far this year, they've responded to Sean Johnson's retirement. They've responded really well to a down year last year. They bounced back, and much like the Bulldogs, people were saying, they shouldn't be here. But they're actually having a very good start to the season, and they go into the bye with 3 wins under their belt. So there we go. There's a preview of round 5. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on what you think is going to happen in round 5 next weekend with the NRL. But from me for now, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will have some more content for you all very, very soon.